Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Monday, it's May 19th of 2025, and today is day 591. So what's happened in the Middle East over the last 24 hours and over the weekend? Starting with what's happening in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israel moved forward with a plan to massively escalate the fighting to fully reoccupy Gaza. This is part of the plan that we heard about before President Trump's visit, where Prime Minister Netanyahu said that there would be an escalation. Israel has launched an extensive air and ground offensive in Gaza over the weekend. Israeli officials said it is aimed at pushing Hamas to demilitarize and release the remaining hostages. According to the health ministry, Israeli strikes killed more than 300 people and injured more than 1,000 since Thursday, between Thursday and yesterday. The last functioning hospital in North Gaza was completely shuttered. The UN Secretary General Guterres on Saturday described the situation in the territory as, quote, beyond inhumane, end quote. The Israeli cultural minister said that Israel will annex land and create a buffer zone, referring to Gaza. He said, "We won't leave until all of the hostages come back home." And he declared the only way to keep Hamas out of Gaza is for the territory, or at least parts of it, to be annexed. This is Israel's cultural minister, Miki Zohar, who said that Israel is going to annex land to create a buffer zone. "We won't go anywhere until all of the hostages come back home." He said that today in Israel in light of the military offensive expansion in the Gaza Strip. Leading up to the June 17th to 19th Peace Summit at the United Nations that's being jointly hosted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and France, Churches for Middle East Peace will be participating in that peace summit at the UN in New York. French President Macron said, "We firmly oppose the expansion of the Israeli military operations in Gaza. The two-state solution must be implemented." Following the issue of a joint statement authored by the leaders of France, the UK, Canada, the French President Macron posted on X saying, "We firmly oppose the expansion of military operations. The level of human suffering is intolerable." He also stated that everyone must work towards implementing the two-state solution, which will be one of the key aspects being discussed at the June conference between the 17th and 19th in New York City. Hamas launched its October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel in order to derail negotiations intended to normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. This is according to the minutes of a high-level meeting that the Israeli military claimed it discovered in a tunnel in Gaza. Hamas did not comment on the authenticity of the documents or its contents. I've shared previously in these daily updates, that's what we heard extensively on the ground over the last, 19, 20 months. But it appears that there was documentation of that discovered in Gaza. The strike that Israel had on a hospital that was targeting the Hamas leader, Mohammed Sinwar, the brother of the head of the military wing of Hamas, it's believed that that Israeli airstrike most likely killed Mohammed Sinwar. This is according to a senior Israeli official, even though the status of Sinwar's death has not yet been confirmed. That was from the Wall Street Journal. Yesterday, it was announced. This is very, very significant news. It's important to not celebrate it unduly, but it's still very significant news. Netanyahu ordered the immediate renewal of humanitarian aid into Gaza. This announcement happened on Sunday. It went forward with the prime minister not taking it to a vote to his ministers. This was amid growing international concerns. It's been 2.5 months since any trucks were allowed into the Gaza Strip as the Israeli Defense Forces launched this new ground expansion. According to Israeli news sources, this is a temporary measure where Israel would allow the former mechanisms of aid to continue until the new U.S. humanitarian aid distribution plan goes into effect later this month at the end of May. The highly unpopular decision among Netanyahu's right-wing circles was made Sunday night as he ordered the immediate resumption of, quote, basic humanitarian assistance. This means that we should not expect the levels to be anywhere near what they need to be. The Israeli Security Cabinet it's been reported, decided to resume limited transfers, even though they actually didn't take it to a vote. They will be using the existing UN-backed channels until the new humanitarian provision mechanism is working. This is according to two senior Israeli officials. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office said that due to an operational need, Israel will allow a basic amount of food to ensure that the hunger crisis does not develop in Gaza. So what's being articulated is that actually it's incredibly dangerous for the Israeli troops for there to be such degrees of hunger, because it's dangerous to have that degree of instability in the Gaza Strip while you have Israeli soldiers on the ground there. Now, what does this actually mean? It means that well, I'll tell you what happened today, and forgive me because this is so minimal. It's hard to even comprehend. Today, the first trucks were allowed in. 5 trucks were allowed into the Gaza Strip. 5 trucks containing humanitarian aid supplies. They went in through the Kerem Shalom crossing. That's the crossing from Israel proper, not through Rafah. The UN said that 9 trucks got approval of entry following Netanyahu's promise to immediately resume aid. So what happens is Israel can say they're resuming aid. The amount of aid that was needed prior to October 7th, 2023 was a minimum of 500 trucks a day. And with aid not being allowed in for as long as it's been, 500 trucks wouldn't even begin to touch the desperate amount of needs. So the idea that 5 trucks were allowed into the enclave is just insignificant at best. A few other facts and statistics in terms of Gaza. Medical sources said that 63 people were killed just since midnight, Sunday night into this morning. 40 of them were in the center and south of the Gaza Strip. There was also an Israeli soldier who was killed in fighting in the north of the Gaza Strip. He was 22 years old. There was a statement that was issued by Israeli human rights organization Churches for Middle East Peace. Has great respect, and we work alongside of many of them. We partner with them. This was a statement demanding a ceasefire and the entry of aid now. This includes groups like Bet Salem, Breaking the Silence, Combatants for Peace, Gisha, Hamoked, Ir Amim, Rabbis for Human Rights, the Parent Circle, Yesh Din, and several others. And I just wanted to share with you what they're saying. During the past several days, Israel has intensified their attacks on Gaza for more than 10 weeks, during which blocked all entry of aids. Israel has blocked all entry of aid and other goods into the Strip. Netanyahu's statement last night that Israel will allow entry of a basic amount of food for the population in order to continue the war demonstrates that Israel has no intention to stop its unlawful use of aid as a lever of political pressure. Every day, the Israeli army is killing and injuring hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza. All residents of the Strip are at risk of famine, while the healthcare system is collapsing due to severe shortages of medicine, medical equipment, and fuel. Israel is deliberately inflicting conditions that make life impossible with the declared goal of carrying out ethnic cleansing. Israel has openly declared that the plan aims to advance its goals of expanding its physical presence in Gaza and forcibly transferring the civilian population. Israel's commission of war crimes, which could also amount to crimes against humanity, must not be met with continued silence and inaction by the international community. We call again for the immediate and unconditional release of hostages. Simultaneously, Israel must immediately stop its attacks, cease its policy of starvation, open the crossings for entry of aid in Gaza, and allow aid organizations into the Strip to carry out their work. Churches for Middle East Peace wholeheartedly concurs. The White House Special Envoy for Middle East Peace, Steve Witkoff, has given Israel and Hamas an updated proposal for a Gaza deal and is pressing them to accept it. Indirect talks between the two parties have resumed and include discussions on ending the war as well as a truce and hostage deal proposal. But we keep getting direct reports from Qatar that are saying no progress is being made. And the U.S. Embassy in Libya yesterday denied the reports that the U.S. government was working on a plan to relocate as many as 1 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip to Libya. In the occupied West Bank, the UK, France, and Canada's leaders have harshly criticized Israel's actions for the expansion of settlements in the West Bank, threatening to take further concrete actions against Israel, which could include increased targeted sanctions. In Yemen, the Houthis have threatened a naval blockade off of Haifa and new missiles in retaliation for the Gaza escalation. They posted on social media that the moment has come to use new missiles. They said a naval blockade on the Zionist enemy's Haifa port will be a response to the escalation of aggression, brutal aggression against our brothers in the Gaza Strip. All companies with ships present in or heading to this port are hereby notified that at the time of this announcement, the aforementioned port has been included in the target bank. They are urged to take consideration for the contents of this statement and any subsequent announcements. In Syria, the World Bank on Friday announced it cleared $15.5 million in debt after payments by Saudi Arabia and Qatar were made. This is a development that will allow the World Bank to re-engage with Damascus. Of course, this was after all sanctions from the U.S. were lifted by President Trump after his visit to the Middle East last week and his meeting with the new president al-Shara of Syria. Israeli and Syrian officials have recently held very rare direct talks, according to Israeli officials. It's not clear who participated in the talks or what was discussed. In Iran, the U.S. has said there's a clear red line, and that Tehran must give up all enrichment of nuclear fuel as a part of any deal on Iran's nuclear program. Witkoff announced this yesterday. Within hours, Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi dismissed Witkoff's demand, accusing the U.S. of trying to negotiate the deal in public. Finally, I wanted to close with a prayer that comes from Sabil in Jerusalem. This is from their wave of prayer, saying, Divine Creator, we are in despair for the deaths of our people and for the fact that attacks on hospitals and civilians have become a normal reality. In the darkest of times, we put our faith in you, who is the bearer of light and all goodness. Do not forsake us, Lord, but be present to all who suffer. Open the hearts of everyone who is complicit, especially the leaders of the world, that they might repent and work towards peace and justice. Continue to embolden us to put an end to this evil and to work towards a world where every human can live in dignity. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. In the name of Christ, amen.